Drake dropped 3 songs a couple of days ago. And that's an accurate representation of the public's response to it. Because he did it under some weird website where he also dropped a lot of behind the scenes footage that I don't think a lot of people cared about. On top of that, the songs weren't very good. I mean, there was one song that I thought was okay, and surprisingly, that was the rap song. The other 2 were just basic singing Drake tracks that kind of sound like he was parodying himself, and that's a word I've realized that I do not know how to say. This has to be the first time in at least a decade that Drake has dropped 3 songs and nobody cared. I wonder what happened in between the span of that time. No, I don't think it was that.
Epstein angle was the shit I expected.
Oh, well, that's a lot closer. That's a lot closer, but no.
Walk on Delilah, no.
No, we have to go deeper. Let's go back 10 years ago. Hey, my name is Zay Dante, and today we're going to take a look at what exactly happened to Drake. And I'm not going to go into what everybody has gone into, including me, for the past 2 months.
Drake, everyone is saying you and your friends are predators and you have a secret daughter.
First of all, I don't have a daughter.
Why is that the first thing
I
you
lied.
address?
We all know that he misguidedly entered a beef that he certainly was not prepared for and got whop. But at the end of the day, he's still Drake. He should be able to drop music and people care about it. So why is it that he was able to drop all of this footage, all of these songs, and nobody seems to care anymore? I have a theory. I think we've entered an age that it's no longer cool to listen to Drake. And that's a combination of things, right? Sure, the beef contributed to that, but ultimately, I think it comes from the product that Drake has been giving us for the past 10 years. And I want to make it clear because I definitely have a reputation as a Drake hater on the internet. And I think that is fair because I am a Drake hater. But that hate comes from a very, very special place. It comes from the fact that I was a Drake kid. I know every single word to Nothing Was the Same. I know every single word to Views. I can name all of Drake's albums in a row without looking. So Far Gone, Take Care, Nothing Was the Same. If you're reading this, it's too late. Views, Scorpion. Okay, well, that's when things start to get shady because that's when it started to be trash. I stopped listening to Drake around 2017 when he started to do the things that everyone is now saying that he does in terms of being a freak. But it was around that time as well that you can tell that he stopped taking the music shit seriously. Certified Lover Boy had some good songs, I thought, but ultimately it was very much a victory lap for Drake. It sounded like he didn't even have to care anymore if he didn't want to. He was gonna sell records regardless. He could have songs like Way Too Sexy that were objectively not really good songs, but they were fun, and they were fun to play around people, and they were exciting to laugh at and listen to, and it was just good because it was Drake. Even when he beefed with Pusha T, yes, he did lose in a kind of embarrassing fashion, but ultimately, he was still Drake. So what was it about this time that changed it all? Let me take it back for you. 2012, Nothing Was the Same drops. Nothing Was the Same is seen as one of the classic albums of the 2010s. It's one of my favorite albums ever, and it included so many hit singles like Started From the Bottom, Hold On, We're Going Home. If you were denying if Drake was mainstream before, you certainly couldn't after this. But within those songs is the key to knowing exactly what went wrong in Drake's career. Let's start with Started From the Bottom. What's funny is I remember when Started From the Bottom came out and everybody wanted to make fun of Drake, but not in the same way that they want to make fun of Drake now. You see, a lot of Drake fans tend to think that everybody just hates Drake for no reason. The reason why they think that is because it was true at some point. In 2012, it was just funny to hate Drake. It was funny to make memes about Drake. He was the emotional rapper. He was the guy who was singing about being in love and being sad all the time when nobody else really wanted to sing like that, I guess, except Kanye. So when Drake released Started From the Bottom, a straight rap song talking about how he had to come from struggle or whatever, it was immediately called out as fake. Everybody started asking, didn't you do Degrassi when you were like 16, bro? What do you mean you started from the bottom? But even through these criticisms, the important thing that everyone focused on was that it was a really good song. The beat was great, his flow was great, the rapping was great. He's very talented. And at the time, he had already had some mainstream hits like Marvin's Room, Take Care was already being seen as a classic album. Started From the Bottom gave him the respect that he frankly deserved at the time. But Started From the Bottom is also a great example of what he ends up being called out for nearly 10 years later. Because everybody that was hating on Drake had a point. he did not really start from the bottom. Whatever the bottom is, it can't be doing Degrassi. He even raps on Wu-Tang Forever, the song directly after Started From the Bottom on the album. I find peace knowing that it's harder in the streets. I know. Luckily, I didn't have to grow there. I would only go there because it's niggas that I know there. This was a self-awareness that I believe that he may have lost throughout the rest of his years. I'm not entirely sure. But Started From the Bottom was never about him starting from the bottom. It was about his desire to connect with people who did. The reason why so many people have a problem with Drake coming into different cultures and different styles, taking it and making it his own, is because he so clearly does not come from these places. He so clearly does not live the lifestyle that he talks about in these songs. And ultimately, music is art. Whatever. Do what you want to do. Talk about whatever you want to talk about. Do what inspires you. But you can't be upset when people rightfully call you out for living a life that you don't actually live. And I don't want to be the one to say it, but Soulja Boy kind of called this first before everybody else did.
He copied my whole fucking flow! Word for word, bar for bar! Drake!
Especially when you use those resources that you won by taking from other people's styles and being a menace to society, which brings me to my next 69 God-sized point. And for that, let's take a deep dive into the song Hold On, We're Going Home. I recently had a birthday party where we did karaoke. Because I have a track record on the internet of being a Drake hater, I wanted to at least give flowers to the life that I used to live as a huge Drake fan. This is how that went.
Little girl!
Bruh, come on now. But that's how it is, though. Obviously, we cannot prove that Drake has done anything that is illegal, but the things that we can prove is enough to say, that motherfucker is weird. What are you doing? And I find that a lot of people have a hard time compartmentalizing this because they think of him as a celebrity and not an actual person. So here's what I think it would be like to be friends with somebody who is like Drake.
All right, I gotta go. I'm hanging out with my new friend on a yacht.
Oh, that's what's up. Where you meet him at?
Oh, it's this 13-year-old girl from this TV show I like.
What?
Yeah, she's cool. I text her all the time about boys and crushes and stuff.
I don't like that.
And afterwards, my friend is gonna come over. He's a registered offender. Lamar's gonna be so mad.
Fam, I'm sorry. There's no other way to slice it. That's odd. The things that we have seen him do in the public eye are strange. And Anthony Fantano just made a video about some new shit that he just did. The dude is weird. I don't think that it's beneficial, even as a Drake fan, to ignore the odd things that he does because it gives people more ammunition to be able to make fun of him in situations like this. And yes, I'm gonna do a little victim blaming at you Drake fans. I think a lot of this is y'all fault. You refuse to criticize him. You refuse to say, hey, the new music isn't actually that good. Let's be honest here. Rich Baby Daddy was kind of the only song on For All the Dogs that was okay at best. And even that was only kind of good because it felt like a victory lap. The last 5 years, everything past Certified Lover Boy has felt like a victory lap to Drake because he could literally do anything and have millions and millions of people love him for it. That's because he was so influential in the music business for such a long time that he kind of deserved that victory lap, to be honest, but not at the expense of the art form, not at the expense of continually disappointing the people who got you there in the first place. And granted, there's an entire argument that could be had about artists doing what they want to do, musicians making the type of music that they want to make. I'm not necessarily saying that because Drake went a more pop route that he is less of an artist. What I am saying is that because he made worse music and continued to make worse music, the response of people being like, this is not good, is justified. So how does that pertain to Hold On, We're Going Home? Ultimately, Hold On, We're Going Home is the magnum opus of Drake's. Oh, well, that's actually not true. I forgot about Marvin's Room. Hold On, We're Going Home is the second best example of Drake making a song that is specifically for the audience he wants to appeal to, which is women. And to be truthful, I think a lot of the hate that Drake received among his first 5 years of being on the scene was attributed to the misogynistic idea that anything that women like can't be good. The same type of thing happened with Justin Bieber when he was a child. Same thing happened with, I don't know, the Beatles or whatever. Anytime that girls like something, apparently that thing is just not cool anymore. But hating Drake now for that is a bit different because now, with the context, we're kind of seeing that the reason he was appealing to women in the first place was because he's got a weird relationship with women. And it's not even just the pedophile stuff. It's also the way that he acts towards women who have rejected him. His obsession with Rihanna over the past decade has been odd. His obsession with Serena Williams has been odd. And it benefits nobody, especially Drake, to pretend like none of that is true. Y'all have made excuses for this man. For the past 10 years, you've ignored his weird vibes. You've ignored his weird comments. You've ignored the strange things that he has said and done in the public eye. So it's easy for an artist who's smart enough to call it out, like Kendrick Lamar, to come in and wipe the floor with this guy because we have all the ammunition from the past decade. A lot of people are going to want to see you fail because they've been seeing you be weird for so long and they want it to stop. Which brings me to my final point. Why doesn't this nigga have no friends? So far, here are the list of artists that have defended Drake since the beef. Lil Yachty, 21 Savage. Oh, there's no more. Yeah, those are the only two. 2018, Certified Lover Boy. What's the song that he drops? No friends in the industry. Clearly. And when you drop a song like that, it's like, oh, Drake's so cool. Oh, he's by himself. He's out there. Can we look at this objectively, please? Why in the hell don't you got no friends, nigga? You should have some motherfucking friends who stick by you year after year. Could it be your weird relationship with women? Could it be the fact that you don't really take your artistry seriously anymore? Could it be the fact that you're kind of annoying, you're kind of corny, you're kind of dorky, all of these memes and stuff that you do instead of actually taking anything seriously at all like you used to when you were good? Because if you refuse to take anything seriously, eventually people will start to realize that you're not a person to be taken serious. The situation with Drake is an extreme lesson in the fact that you cannot move about the world just thinking you can do whatever you want to people just because you got a little bit of influence or a little bit of money or a little bit of power. It doesn't matter how famous you are. It doesn't matter about your followers. It doesn't matter about the successes that you've even had in the past. People can get tired of you. And as soon as you start moving about the world like you're above criticism, like you can just do whatever you want and then joke your way out of it, that is when people get annoyed with you. And I'm speaking as a former Drake fan. I would love it if he was able to make good music again, but I don't really know if he has that in him. But if he does, I don't think that it happens unless he takes a bit of a break. Just get out of our faces for a second. Stop trying to force your new music on us. Stop trying to force us to not care about the fact that somebody dunked on you for 2 months straight and we're still kind of laughing about it. Stop pretending like you're too cool for it to affect you. Stop pretending like none of this matters because it matters to a lot of people. And frankly, it mattered to you at one point. And when it mattered to you, everything you did was a lot better. Everything. And for God's sake, dude, for God's sake.
Go easy on the young ones, my man. I saw you on TV last night. Wasn't clean what you said. We're gonna keep our children away from you, my brother. All right? Stop touching the little ones.
Drake?